as a band, one of the most important things we can do, musically speaking, is to support the vocal melody. If we ever distract from singing, we're not doing our job. So how do we do that? This triangle is going to represent our band and the different roles that we play. Well, to have a worship song, we have to have a chord progression. But it's only when we pair chords with rhythm that we have a foundation for our vocal melody. Now, most worship bands out there, this is really all they do. They focus on playing chord progressions with a rhythmic pattern. Now, I'm not saying you're a bad band if you only do this. I'm not saying you have to do more than this. But my job today is to teach you how to play modern worship music. In modern worship music, the stuff that you hear in the albums does not just play chord progressions to a rhythmic pattern. There's more to it than that. Now, when chord progressions marry a rhythmic pattern, I'm going to call that today the pocket. When you hear pocket, think background, pattern, predictability. By establishing a pattern and staying there, we sort of put ourselves in the background and get out of the way, and it creates room for the vocal melody to be the star of the show. If the pocket is distracting from the vocal melody, it's not a good pocket. Now, this series is all about writing a part for the song Crowns Down. And we're trying to step back in a unique band situation. We have drums, we have bass, piano, acoustic, and then we're the only electric guitar. We'll have a little bit of pad in the background, but aside from that, there are no other instruments. We're not playing with tracks or anything else. Now, with that setup, whose job is it to play the pocket? In the pocket, I'm going to specifically look to drums to establish our unique rhythm pattern, the bass to establish that root note of our chord pattern, to the acoustic guitar, who's just as much a percussive instrument as it is a tool to play chord progressions. Now, drums, bass, and acoustic on most worship albums are very repetitive. They establish a pattern and they stay there, especially the acoustic guitar. There's not a lot of range there in what an acoustic guitar does on a lot of these albums. So here are the drums and bass for the chorus. The drums are laying down a rhythmic pattern, and the bass is just laying down that root note underneath it. Here's the acoustic. Just playing some chords to a rhythmic pattern. When I listen to the drums, bass, and acoustic there, they're doing a good job of laying down a foundation for our vocal melody. We could sing on top of that, and that's what a good pocket is going to allow us to do. If there were no other instruments, we should at least be able to sing on top of that. In my opinion, if our pocket is in place, the chord changes are getting played, the rhythmic pattern is tight, the next priority we have as a band is energy. We've talked about the chord progressions of our song, the rhythmic pattern of our song. Now we need to talk about the dynamic path. Remember that shape we drew in the beginning? That is our dynamic path. And as a band, we come together as musicians to create that shape. The problem is, some instruments are built for that, and others are not. In a band, drums, vocals, and electric guitar are our high dynamic range instruments, but acoustic and piano are not. Acoustic guitar can wail on that thing as much as possible, but it's not going to move the needle much on the energy spectrum. The same for a piano. Pianos can just slam away on those notes, but it's not going to produce this crazy new powerful tone. Now, is it important if your piano player has a synth they can pull it behind it, or a pad or strings or something? Absolutely, that's really important, and that needs to be considered because they can do that as an energy tool. So energy, I believe, is the next thing we need to accomplish as a band, but only certain members can do that. So as an electric guitarist, if I listen for the pocket and I go, you know what, good, we're taken care of. What is the next thing in my mind I'm trying to accomplish? I'm thinking about dynamic path, and I'm crafting my part to fit that dynamic path. Now, I know many of you out there are getting bummed because you love playing melody. You love playing lead guitar. No matter how good your melodies are, if your band isn't shaping energy in the right way, those melodies are just going to fall flat. Energy is more important than instrumental melody. If you're focusing on playing parts that are shaping energy in a song, and then you leave that and you start focusing on melody instead, often it's going to feel like the bottom just drops out from our song. If the band was really leaning on you to build energy. And so we've looked at drums, bass, and acoustic, but now here's the question: what is our piano player doing? Let's take a listen to this piano part in the chorus. So is the piano just playing a chord progression with a rhythmic pattern underneath it? What's the piano player prioritizing in this part? The piano is taking on the role of melody. It's doubling the vocal melody. But you know what? I think it's okay that the piano jumps up and takes that melody, because the piano isn't going to add a lot to us in the energy space. So if I have drums, bass, and acoustic down here in the pocket during our chorus, and my piano is up here doing some melody spots, then what section is left for me? Energy. And so I believe when I step back and listen to this band, I hear everybody taking care of these roles, but I see one big gap. And so when I step back and go, what is the thing that is driving my decision making as a guitarist? Is it getting the chord progression played? No, they're already playing that. Is it playing a rhythmic pattern? Not necessarily, even though everything we play is going to have some sort of rhythmic element to it. Is it to play melody and some cool lead lines? I don't know. Our piano player is already doing that on the chorus. I think it's pretty evident that my role in the song is energy. My priority in the song is to play parts that contribute to our dynamic path that we're trying to accomplish. The only time I would say you abandon energy as your role is if the musicians underneath you are just not getting the job done. Maybe you have a piano player that just keeps missing chords. You have an acoustic player whose timing is terrible. Often as an electric guitarist, we got to say, man, our pocket isn't even getting established right now. I need to come down and help out with that. And so number one is getting that pocket established. If your band can do that, now we can build on top of that and shape energy. Now, what is this last role here? I think color is a legitimate role. And this is what we hear is kind of like the icing on the cake. This is the luxury part. A color part to me is all about texture, accent, uniqueness, separation. It's keeping the song interesting. It's bringing color, vibrance in certain ways. When you sit back and you isolate the guitar tracks in many of these albums, some of the parts, they're not exactly pocket parts, they're not exactly melodies. There may be big ambient drones that are set in the background or quick accents to a chord to add a little bit of harmonic complexity. There may be fuzzy or crackly parts or super hyper clean parts that just come in and add a little bit of frequency in a certain space. This is a very cool role, the color guitar role, but there's not much we can do there unless we have all of this established first. A great pocket. We're shaping energy according to the dynamic path of our song. We're using instrumental melody in strategic ways. And then on top of that, we can throw some color. But for the sake of this song today, we're looking at crowns down, and our job is going to be energy. So moving on from this point, I want to show you how to create a part with energy in mind.